illusion. Welcome to your final resting place. I see your mind's full of delusion. When you look in the mirror, do you see your own face? Welcome to California, a place for hopes, a place for dreams, a place for scars, a place for streams. Welcome to Hollywood. Did you come here for a reason, or just because you could?
Welcome back to Modern Art Blitz. I am your host, Matt Gleason. Right now, some people might consider it a conflict of interest for me to have a guest on my show who is also showing at my gallery. If that's a conflict of interest, then I am guilty. But she is a great artist, and I am proud to have her as a guest on my show, Lavialle Campbell. Welcome!
Thank you.
Did you like my intro? Was that good enough?
That was really good.
Hey, so here's the problem, folks. We're probably just going to sit here and gab because we're old friends. But not only is she a very old, good friend of mine, a very good old friend of mine. Oh, wait, which is worse?
Oh.
Yeah, I know. A very old. Wait, that sounded bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've been friends for a while, but she also is just such a great artist, and she's really bridging that gray area where the art world wants to say no craft allowed, and yet she's bringing craft in and announcing it as great as the modernists go. So Lavialle, you are showing glass and quilts right now in your solo show. We're looking at a quilt here. Why quilts?
I love quilting. It calms me down. I think they're beautiful. I like working with fabric. I work with mostly solid fabric. And it's fun cutting it up and putting it back together.
Now, when you look at fine art, the tradition of, the macho man making his great geometric abstract painting, you're compositionally doing the same thing as him, yeah?
Right.
But using pretty much the feminine, would you say?
I would say yes.
And do you see the work as some kind of a feminist statement?
I do, because quilting and a lot of the handcrafts are considered women's work.
Women's work.
Yeah.
And yet they produce the same visual art experience as oil on canvas, right?
Exactly.
And so what is, I guess the thing, we know that historically Rembrandt, it's been around a couple hundred years, probably going to last a couple hundred more years at least. Mm-hmm. How long does fabric last, do you know?
Well, most quilts are 100% cotton. Cotton lasts forever.
Really?
Yeah. So unless you wash it a lot, then it'll disintegrate.
Isn't like the Shroud of Turin, that Jesus was wrapped in, that's in Turin, Italy now? Is that, that's like some old, that could have been quilted, it's woven, but
yeah,
right?
It's probably linen.
Linen.
It's probably linen, but linen lasts also.
Okay.
But we work with cotton thread, cotton batting, cotton fabric, and it wears very well because you have a lot of quilts that you make for babies, and they're gonna pee and they're gonna puke and they're gonna,
that's what babies do best.
And you just
make a mess.
Throw them in the washing machine and they're fine when they come out.
So in addition to making what I consider to be the equivalent of abstract painting, I would call you an abstract painter, you just happen to work with the fabric. There's a narrative component though to your work. So tell us about specifically this one.
This piece is called Encapsulate, I believe. And it was a particular type of breast cancer that I had. And I just wanted to, when I was first showed the image of the x-ray of the breast cancer, there were a lot of little dots. And this just kind of brought all the little dots that show that I had breast cancer, encapsulated in the green and the darker colors.
Do you always have like a narrative in mind? Have you ever just done like the equivalent of like a lyrical abstraction and the blue looks good next to the red and let's just do that? Or
I usually don't have a narrative in mind. I just depends on how I feel. I'm an improvisational quilter. So it's whatever comes out, whatever fabrics I pull, I'll pick my favorite colors and start.
Okay.
This particular body of work is personal and heavy for me.
And yet the show's, as heavy as it might be, the show still, it stands out as just being, quite elegant.
Yeah.
So, here we go. Now, this is, and this is all new work, right?
Yes, it's all
Okay.
new.
What's the title of this one?
I believe this is Swirl. It's pieced in a score. There is a woman who teaches a particular type of way of quilting, and I've incorporated her work into mine. And I hand pieced the stripes, and I machine pieced the rest of the quilt. And then I quilted it using circles. So it's swirly when you can't see the quilting in this image, but it's got circles in the corners, and the middle is a large circle.
Oh, there's a lot of texture there. I see a lot of texture. So why, I want to say, I've been confronted with having curated the show and sitting in the gallery. Why such dark colors?
I was thinking of dark thoughts and shadows, and once I decided on the subject matter, I really love the colors. The black and the pepper, which is really close to black, but it looks blue. There's a navy blue, there's a deep purple, and charcoal. And they just look so beautiful together, and I really enjoyed working with them. And then I popped the wasabi green in as an accent every now and then.
Oh, wow. The wasabi green, it's a very dark green, but it's kind of smooth, right?
No, it almost looks yellow.
Oh, okay. That's not in this particular.
Not in this
quilt, though.
particular
Okay.
piece, yeah.
I'm looking at some of the darker pieces.
Right.
So, and then again, this is basically about yay big.
Yes.
Yay. And we've worked together, and I've noticed that at one time we were framing. You were having the work framed. Kind of a dilemma, because with the plexi on the frame, if you don't have a frame, it's just this quilt. But
Right.
you've developed an amazing way of mounting them, so they really do have that feeling of being like this perfectly stiff surface that creates the illusionistic space of great painting. How are you mounting these?
I was at my framers, and I just thought I was just going to frame everything behind glass, just frame it. And we were talking, and he says, there's a different way of framing textiles. They're stitched to artboard. He built a frame behind it, and then a wire, so you can see the texture, especially with this body of work being as dark as it is. If it was behind glass, you wouldn't be able to photograph it. You wouldn't be able to see it.
A glare comes up. I don't care how much. When the framer upsells you on the glass, it's glare. There's still a glare.
There's still a glare.
If the gallery, if it's during the day, the light's coming in, it's gonna, and without that glass, the problem is you want to protect the actual object. You need a frame, and yet these unframed, they're stiff, they carry well, they're very light. I think that's remember, artists, heavy paintings. So you're mounting these, and what's it called on the back?
It's just artboard, the
archival board.
Archival board.
Archival board. Great. Yes. Well, let's see another, because we've got a few great images here to show. Do we have more?
Yeah.
Now we use this as the postcard for the show.
Right.
I think it's such a fabulous image, but it does have a heavy narrative with it. Why don't you walk us through that?
This piece is called Right Breast Left, because my right breast is left. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I wanted to do this body work. There's a lot of things I needed to purge out of my system about my health over the years. I did a breast cancer series in ceramic. I hadn't done anything in fiber.
In quilting.
And this piece just kind of, it was 2 days. I came up with the idea, quilted the pieces together, and it was just done. Where the piece before, it took me a month just to get the middle part done. This one just was meant to be, the title came immediately, and it's, I think, a little whimsical considering the subject matter, and I like that.
You survived breast cancer many years ago.
Yes.
And so as time goes on, it just becomes kind of this this thing and you just have it, and then but you get up every day and you're fine, right?
Yeah.
Now, you also had a lot of work in the show made out of glass, again, using a traditional craft material to make fine art that said the word survivor on it.
Yes.
You know, so this, you're working a little more abstract, you go back and forth, not much text in most of your pieces,
right.
so you're somebody doesn't have to know that about, doesn't have to know this narrative about this artwork to appreciate it, to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I was shocked when you told the story. I got to say, we had an artist talk with curator Jillith Moniz, who came in, and she asked you and told that story. I was like, oh my God, it seems apparent now, but it wasn't so readily apparent that if you hadn't told that story. So pretty amazed. So let's keep going, because we got some another image or two here. Ooh. Tell us about this one.
I was able to work with a quilter who was one of my favorites of all time, and she was retiring, and I was able to get in her very last class.
What was her name?
Her name is Gwen Marston, and I believe she's in Portland, Oregon. Like, she built a house and it's all beautiful, and she does her quilting there. And she's just, tired and, an older woman, so it was time for her to stop. And she had been at a quilting convention that I was a part of, wasn't able to get into any of her classes, missed her keynote speech.
Oh, man.
And then, this class popped up for 3 days with her for $200. So I jumped at it, and she was fabulous. Just working with her cut my work, I won't say in half, but it saves me a lot of time after having worked with her.
Just her special technique.
Just her, just
and
just letting it go.
Here's the thing about, like, that I love. It's like you got quilting, and you got fine art, so to speak, oil on canvas. I've never had a guest, I've never had a painter saying, oh, this one teacher of mine taught me this one technique. I mean, it's so rare. And yet that's pretty much the way it's done in the quilting world, right? Somebody teaches a great technique. When you talk about it, you got to say, hey, so-and-so taught me this great technique, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was fabulous.
So, and then, and here's another one. This one's actually a very small piece. It looks great, as one could think it's blown up to large. Mm-hmm. What's going on here?
I hand-pieced all the little pieces together. And when pieces are small, you get a lot of seams, so it's a lot of steaming and pressing and.
But you end up with more. You end up with a lot more texture too.
A lot more texture.
Yeah, and this is all the work is 2016 or 2015 or.
2016 and 17.
And 17, new stuff. Okay, what was the last piece in the show?
I didn't bring a picture of the last piece. The last piece is the list of.
Oh, the list. Okay, yeah, that's okay. So, do we have one more? Oh, wow.
That's it.
Oh, man. Well, here's the thing about the show. It's up until next week is the last week. We've had great foot traffic from art world veterans, and we've had people from literally all over the Southern California landscape with the quilting. Are they called, what are they called? Quilting bees or?
Just quilt guilds.
Quilt guilds. We've had a lot of quilt guilds field trips. The show's up through next weekend at Coaguila Curatorial in Chinatown, and July 2nd, next Sunday, will be the final week. But Lavialle Campbell, what's next?
I think I'm going to do some work that leans towards social justice work.
Okay.
Regarding all the police killings of black men.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, there's a lot of more political art right now. I think you'll, now's the time is right, and the audience is ripe for that sort of thing too. So from the personal to the political, my guest, thank you very much, Lavialle Campbell.
Thank you.
It was a blast. We'll be back right after this. Oh yeah, come on up. Yeah. Come on up. Where's Hassan? Hassan!